In 2013, a 9-person escrow firm in California, Efficient Services Escrow Group, had a remote access Trojan sitting there quietly in their network. They had no idea it was there, but within 72 hours of a $1.5 million wire transfer clearing to accounts they didn't recognize, state regulators forced them to permanently close their doors. 9 jobs gone. A business gone. The attack wasn't sophisticated. They just had nobody watching out for it. That company didn't fail because they had a bad product. They failed because nobody was watching out. And right now, the assumption that's putting businesses exactly like Efficient Services in the same position is this: threat intelligence is an enterprise problem. It isn't. It is the difference between reading a ransomware note on a Monday and never seeing the attacker reach your network at all. That is what we're fixing today. The average total breach cost for a business with fewer than 500 employees, $3.31 million. But that number isn't what stops executives mid-meeting. This is the one that should. 40% of small businesses permanently close after a cyber attack costing $100,000 or less. Not $3 million, $100,000. This isn't a cybersecurity statistic. That is a business survival statistic. And most managers I talk to have never heard of it. The most dangerous myth in the SMB market is that attackers only target large enterprises. The inverse is true. Adversaries specifically target businesses sitting below that security poverty line, the threshold below which an organization lacks the resource depth to detect or respond to them. Your business isn't too small to be targeted. It is exactly the right size. The 2021 Kaseya VSA attack proved the terminal version of this. The Revel ransomware gang didn't hack 2,000 small businesses individually. They compromised one managed service provider, then weaponized that provider's own software update mechanism to push ransomware to every downstream client at the same time. For those 2,000 SMBs, the breach didn't arrive through a phishing email. It arrived through a trusted software update from a vendor they were paying to protect them. Just knowing you're a target isn't actionable intelligence. The real question most SMBs want to know is when they are ready to start using CTI to do something about it, and what that actually looks like inside a business with a real-world budget. The answer isn't what most security vendors want you to hear. Cyber threat intelligence is not just a list of bad IP addresses. It is evidence-based knowledge, including context, mechanisms, indicators, implications, and actionable recommendations about an existing or emerging threat to your assets. Think of your business as a local bank. Your firewall, your antivirus, that is the vault door and alarm system. It is reactive. If someone breaches it, you find out after the fact. CTI is the equivalent of a city-wide security network that sends you a report. A specific crew is using a specific chemical compound to dissolve those vault hinges in the next town over every Tuesday night. There are 3 layers of intelligence your business can consume. At the bottom we have tactical intelligence. This is the chemical formula. In cyber terms, it would be IP addresses, malware hashes, and phishing domains. These are indicators of compromise. High volume, short shelf life. The data your tools consume automatically, and you should set up to block automatically. A level up from that, we have operational intelligence. This is, they always come in through the roof. The cyber terms would be the tactics, techniques, and procedures of how an attacker attacks you. This is the layer that maps to the MITRE attack matrix and tells your team what adversary behaviors to hunt for in your environment, not just what file hashes need to be blocked. And then at the very top we have strategic intelligence. This is your understanding that that crew is funding a larger operation elsewhere, and their next move could be dictated by it. In business terms, it's who is targeting your sector, why they are doing it, and what the financial or geopolitical motive is. This is the layer that turns your security spending into a board-level, risk-informed decision that projects their next move onto the wider threat landscape. Now, here's the critical piece most guides skip. CTI only works at the specific maturity threshold. NIST defines 4 maturity tiers. The only one that matters for this conversation is level 3, repeatable. This includes documented incident response, standardized processes, backups you've actually tested. Below level 3, a threat feed is just a distraction. At level 3, it becomes a force multiplier. The practical gateway to level 3 is completing the CIS Implementation Group 1. This is a list of 56 foundational safeguards your business should have in place. It includes asset inventory, data recovery capability, incident response planning, multi-factor authentication on everything external facing. Once those basic 56 controls are in place, CTI doesn't just add another value layer, it multiplies everything you've already built in. Here's what that looks like in practice. Before CTI, you're prioritizing 500 high severity CVEs with no triage logic. After CTI, you're patching 3 vulnerabilities that are being actively exploited against businesses in your sector in the past 2 weeks. And you can defer the rest. You can prioritize your work. That is the difference. That is the entire game we're playing here. It involves a fair bit of preparation up front, but once you have the basic security controls established, you can bring in CTI as a force multiplier. All of which sounds clean on a slide deck. The harder question, and the one nobody walks executives through, is what this actually looks like on a Tuesday morning in a business with a 3-person IT team. So, here is a structured, non-enterprise budget roadmap that you can follow for your SMB to start using CTI when it becomes applicable. Days 1 to 15, defining your crown jewels. Ask yourself one question. What are the 3 most likely ways this business goes out of business tomorrow? For most SMBs, the answer is ransomware encrypting client data, a business email compromise redirecting a wire transfer, or a supply chain attack through a third-party vendor. Those 3 scenarios become your priority intelligence requirements, or PIRs. The filter every piece of threat data gets evaluated through. If it doesn't relate to those 3, then it's just noise. It's not a high priority for you. But this isn't a generic thing or a one-size-fits-all for all SMBs. A news agency's PIRs look nothing like a physio clinic's. The agency asks, are adversaries actively targeting our website, our social media channels, or other publicizing channels? Whereas the clinic asks, is our customer booking software vulnerable to any known vulnerabilities being exploited, or any misconfigurations? They have a different threat model, different intelligence requirements, and different defensible priorities. Those answers come from intelligence, not guesswork. And they start with you defining your crown jewels. Days 16 to 30. Tool up at 0 cost. Stand up a MISP instance for structured threat correlation and IOC management. Subscribe to Alienware OTX for real-time, community-verified indicators. Use something like OpenCTI to map incoming threat data directly into MITRE ATT&CK. You could even use the Hive for collaborative incident response when an event becomes active. All of these tools have zero licensing cost. Anyone with an IT background can do it. You are replacing a human manually Googling, "Is this IP malicious?" with a system that already knows it and already has it blocked. You want to automate as much of this tactical intelligence work as you can, and these tools allow you to do it. Days 31 to 45. This is where you build your intelligence lifecycle. Document the workflow. When a feed surfaces a malicious IP related to you, the process should be ingest, verify, act, and audit. The IP gets pushed automatically to a firewall block rule. It gets reviewed on a 30-day cycle, so stale data doesn't generate false positives that erode an analyst's trust and waste your time. Write this process down. A process that lives only in someone's head is not a process. It is a single point of failure. If a human has to manually decide to block an IP every single time, you don't have a CTI program. You just have a very expensive news subscription. Day 46 to 60. Automate and then plant tripwires. Organizations running active CTI reduce their average breach detection window from 194 days to 166 days. That 28-day differential is the return on investment number you present to your board, manager, or executives when justifying the investment. And here is the move that costs nothing and most businesses fail to implement. I'm talking about canary tokens, active deception. Create a Word document that stands out to an attacker, something like 2026 executive bonus projections, and put it on a shared network drive. Or plant a fake AWS API key inside a local configuration file. Or drop a decoy link in your internal wiki labeled staging server admin panel. Any interaction with those files would generate an immediate alert because legitimate users have no reason to access them. If a canary token like this fires, it is a near certainty that an attacker is already inside your network conducting reconnaissance, and you know it before they reach your real assets. That is internal intelligence, high fidelity, near zero cost, and no vendor contract required. The businesses that absorb the next wave of attacks share one characteristic. They know what is coming before it arrived. Because what's coming is worse. AI-generated phishing with 54% higher click-through rates than the human-written kind. Self-evolving malware that probes and adapts its attack path in real time. Extortion incidents involving data exfiltration now average 5 million per event. CTI is not the finish line. It is the foundation on which every subsequent security investment is built. Once you have CTI running in your business, the next step is to take that intelligence and map it against your specific business architecture. This is where threat modeling comes in, which is exactly what this video covers. It shows you how to take the intelligence you're now collecting and systematically identify which assets are most exposed to which adversaries through which attack paths. If you want CTI to drive actual risk decisions and not just populate a dashboard, that video is the direct continuation of everything I've just covered here. Start building your threat model today. Subscribe for more cyber threat intelligence content and weekly videos. I'll see you in the next one.